Hey, Jeff, thanks so much for joining us. We're going to give Mark a minute and then kind of just let the audience come in here. Oh, well, it looks like I lost Jeff. Let's see. I can. You got rug pulled early on. Normally, it's like halfway through when someone says something a little bit questionable, that they wind up getting dropped from the call. Hopefully, we just got that out of the way now.
Yeah, let me rejoin in a minute. I need to check what's up with my headset, and I'll be right back.
Okay, perfect. Hey, Mark, Jeff was just in here and he's going to be checking something with his headset and he'll be right back to join us.
No problem.
How's your day going?
Yeah, it's
Busy.
it's 7 o'clock in the morning right now.
Did you get some sleep?
Yeah, I decided to, yeah.
Good. So we'll wait for Jeff and we'll wait for a few more listeners and we'll get started. Yep, no, you are good and clear. Thank you. Everything's good with your headset now.
Perfect.
Awesome. Okay, well, we'll go ahead and begin. I'm sure everybody will kind of pop in as we go. Thank you, everybody, and welcome to the Twitter Spaces. I'm Jen, and I have Jeff from Epns and Mark from Bancor here with us. Thank you guys for joining me, and thank you to the listeners also. Jeff, maybe you wouldn't mind starting and introducing yourself a little bit. And before we really kind of dive deeper into Epns, maybe you could just give us kind of your quick elevator pitch, simple explainer, I guess.
Yeah. All right. Let me know if at some point you cannot hear me. Okay. All right. I'm Jeff. First of all, I have been with EPNS for almost 2 years now, but I came to the crypto space 4 years ago, and you know how it happens, right? Once you test the waters, the crypto waters, then there is no way back from there, and that's what happened to me. So over the past almost 2 years, I've been working with EPNS, and it's been quite a fun ride. Lots of things happening and lots of things ahead.
It's so true. Once I discovered crypto, and I say it all the time, that's it. Like, it almost just kind of sucks you in. You just want to know more about it. And it's evolving so much and growing so much that it's not like you can really step back and be like, I'm done with it. Like, it just doesn't really work that way.
Yeah. The same thing happened to me. And worst part is, the more you learn, the more you get to know new things, the more you think you know nothing.
It's constantly humbling, right?
Yeah.
Well, thank you for introducing yourself. Mark, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself and Bancor a little bit for us.
Yeah, certainly. So yeah, my name is Mark Richardson. I used to be a research scientist. So I was actually trained as an organic chemist. I was sort of headed towards the pharmaceutical sciences. I did my Bachelor of Science at Macquarie University, my PhD at the University of Melbourne. My first postdoctoral stint was at UCI. I was also a lecturer there for 2 years. I did a second postdoctoral appointment at the Commonwealth Scientific and Industrial Research Organization in Australia for 2 years. And it was during COVID. that because of the massive interruption in my work, that I really had to find another way to keep myself occupied. So for those who don't know, where I live presently is Melbourne in Australia, and we went through a 2-year lockdown. So we were, I really was. I had a lot of time on my hands to try and find other things to be interested in. And so it was really the beginning of 2020 that I started to become obsessed with DeFi, and was involved in a bunch of different DAOs as they were becoming established. And I kind of settled down on Bancor as being the project that I kind of resonated with me the most. And then after meeting some of the Bancor founders and working with them on a couple of improvements to Bancor, I accepted a full-time employment offer for the foundation, and have been sort of working with them for over a year now.
So Jeff and I both said that we really didn't have a choice. It just kind of happened. Like, we got sucked in. Did you really decide to go into it full time, or did it just kind of happen that way for you too?
Yeah, so I would say that it was definitely a conscious decision. I kind of, there were a lot of things that I could have decided to study while I was, waiting for the COVID lockdown to finish. And I think that, I wanted to make sure that whatever I was keeping myself occupied with had a very good chance of being either, something of some great importance to, the next phase of the next thing, I guess, in our civilization. And so, I was either going to be, spending a lot of time doing cryptocurrency related stuff, or, I might have also been looking at things like artificial intelligence and machine learning things. And so I still think that I settled down on the right thing, although, I do think that the machine learning paradigm is still approaching pretty quickly as well. But yeah, it was definitely a decision to do something that is, going to be important, I think.
I hear that. I completely respect that for sure. And I get it. And I think on behalf of like the Bancor community, we're glad you decided on what you did also, because you're great at it.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, for sure. Jeff, so diving a little bit into EPNS, this is fairly new, right? I mean, it's a communication layer. Is that term new? I'm not familiar with other communication layers, I guess is what I'm saying.
Actually, you know what? I realize now that I didn't give you my elevator pitch about EPNS. So if that's okay with you, I would like to start by just explaining quickly what EPNS brings to the space, and then we can go over this question. Is that okay?
No, absolutely. Let's do it.
All right. So here's the thing. Most likely, all of you, whenever you wake up in the morning, you already have notifications waiting for you on your phone, right? Whether that's a WhatsApp or your bank account or something, right? But you will have notifications waiting for you. The thing is that notifications didn't exist before in the Web3 space at all in a native fashion. So that's what EPNS is bringing to the space. The possibility for users to not have to go fetch information by themselves, but rather have the information flow to the user, to your user wallet. And that's what EPNS is bringing. That's the major use case and the major innovation here, right? Now we're always grateful because we think we came with this idea at the right moment, at the right place, and there are other protocols and teams working on similar things, but we do have a working product already. We have collaborations ongoing with many of the most important protocols in the crypto space, and it's really interesting because EPNS at the end, if you think about it, what we're building is a communication layer. So basically, that's me saying that our protocol, it's a protocol in service of every other protocol in the space. Whenever there are communication needs, that's the right fit for EPNS notifications. whether that's DeFi, governance, metaverse, NFTs, whatever, there's always the need to communicate something to the users. And before EPNS, there was no way to do that unless you share something about your person, right? Your privacy. And that doesn't go hand by hand with the Web3 ethos. And that's what EPNS is enabling. The fact that now that users are very privacy centric, you can receive communication directly to your wallet address without disclosing any other information.
And it's not only through a web, like a browser extension, right? I was looking and like, I was so curious about our AMA and everything happening that I actually got the app myself. So you have the different options for different users according to, I mean, some people use their mobile more than they do desktop.
Correct. You got it right. So right now, what we have, EPNS is a protocol, right? And what we're building is the foundational layer, the foundational communication layer for the Web3. But in order to generate that adoption and that momentum that we need, we have been creating tools and, like, for example, what you're saying, our mobile application. Right now, we have the mobile application in the two main flavors, Android and iOS. And we also have a Chrome browser extension where you can get notifications. But, part of what we're doing is because we need to focus a lot of our efforts in the developers community. We're also producing SDKs so that the developers can start building their own solutions. And more ways of receiving notifications will come in the future once more protocols start implementing EPNS notifications. So you can imagine that if your team, they already have, let's say, a mobile app, then you can, by using our SDK, you can very easily implement receiving notifications right there to your mobile app, if it makes sense to you. Right now, what we offer is the mobile app, the browser extension, and we have our own app where you can go and check your notifications. But any protocol can do their own implementations as well. And one cool thing about the EPNS notifications is that what you receive in a notification is not only text, right? Text is good because it will give you a message that you are interested in, but they come with a call to action. And the call to action is actually really, really useful because, for example, if you have a DeFi operation, or let's take the example with Bancor. Let's say there is a new pool that is bootstrapped, that is already ready for users to jump in and interact with it. Right, you will get a notification saying there is a new pool that is bootstrapped, and it will tell you the name of the pool and other information. But if you click it, it will actually take you to that pool so that you can start interfacing with it. Right, that's the part where EPNS can also become a tool for user engagement and user retention, because not only it will allow you to communicate information that is reactive, like, for example, if your assets are in risk, but it will also enable an application or protocol like Bancor to say, no, here's an opportunity for you. Go take advantage of it. So it generates those two types of notifications where you can act reactive or proactive.
That is huge because it really simplifies streamlines the entire process. You don't just get that and then you click. I mean, it's just, here's your notification, you click, and it brings you straight to where you want to be.
Exactly. And with Bancor, with this collaboration that we have ongoing, part of the things that we did is that we also, with the same channel, and before I continue, let me make an analogy so everybody is on the same page as to what's a channel. The analogy that we always like to use is YouTube. If you're a content producer, for example, you want your followers, let's use that word, to have a way to get to know your latest news, right? So you will create a channel in YouTube where your users or your followers can subscribe and receive notifications. That is the very same concept with EPNS. And what I was saying is that with the same channel that we created for Bancor, users will not only get notifications about the platform or operations that they do or they can do in the platform, but we took it one step further, and with the same channel, you will also be notified about governance updates. And that is because governance is so important, and sometimes it's difficult to move. That is EPNS helping move governance in a way that you are informed at every step of a governance proposal. So you will get a notification, for example, when there is a new proposal up for voting, or when voting begins, voting ends, and even the voting results. But you will get it right on your phone if you're using the mobile app. And you'll get the notification. It says, hey, here's this new proposal for voting. You click it and it will take you to Snapshot where the proposal is, so you can go read about it or even cast your vote. Or if there are links to other conversations, like to governance forums and whatnot, you can actually go there. And very soon in the future, this is something we have been discussing, you will actually be able to cast your vote from the notification itself, simplifying the voting process for everybody.
You're really, really simplifying it then. I mean, you're giving everybody exactly what they need in order to follow through with what the notification is notifying them of ultimately.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why I was saying that EPNS, aside from being the communication layer for the Web3, it's actually a tool for user engagement, right? Because what better than putting it so simple in your hands that it will facilitate any process that you want to participate in, whether that's governance or platform usage.
When I was first reading about the notifications, the first thing that came to my head was like this mad dash to, put their bags onto Bancor mark. Everybody's waiting for space to open. I guess with the infinity pools, that problem will be solved. But It was like the perfect sort of example, space opened. Okay, click, and there you go. Like now you've made it.
Yeah, I think that from a user-facing perspective, there are so many sort of clear use cases. But Jeff, I was wondering if you could speak to maybe, do you see EPNS being of special use for projects themselves, maybe with regards to sort of notifications surrounding like unique events that might be related to sort of security breaches or something like that?
Definitely. That's an awesome question. So we've seen a lot of interest from the developers community because they are actually the ones that will get really, really creative, and they will get their minds blowing and create these beautiful solutions. One of them that they were talking about a couple of weeks ago in our Discord, it's exactly that. What if, for example, you can keep an eye on a contract, on a treasury contract or something similar, where you want to know if something moved in or out to it, right? Or from it. And the thing with what we're offering, our protocol, what it enables is, you to trigger notifications. You can trigger notifications after an event happens, or you can actually set up a job, for example, that will keep an eye every 1 hour on whichever specific source and react to it. So if the verification that you are doing every X hours or minutes, or you can go as granular as block by block. But if the verification that you are looking for meets the criteria to send a notification, then that's when a notification is triggered. And the cool thing is there are different types of notification that you can send. So you can send a broadcast notification that will go to every single subscriber of your channel, or you can send targeted notifications, which are probably more suitable for your usage of the platform, let's say. But when there is a security breach, like you're saying, you might want to send a broadcast notification so that everybody is aware of it. Now, going back to my previous statement about being proactive and reactive, a tool that allows protocols to be proactive or reactive, that is in the case of a security breach. But what if there is a new pool with high APYs and you want your users to take advantage of that opportunity, right? So you can also send a broadcast notification on that case.
Mark, do you want to continue on with that? I had another question if you didn't, but go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So I was just curious, Jeff, if you've heard people sort of thinking, well, if I've got this signal, right? Like if I'm getting EPNS to broadcast something after some event is realized, then I can actually use that as a part of another logic system to trigger another event on chain, right? Like to react to that signal to cause something else to happen after then. So then you actually get something that's kind of got a self, like a knowledge of itself in a way.
Yes, you are touching a great point. And let me put it this way: EPNS creates a communication channel that allows communication to Web3 recipients, right? So why do I put it like that? Because communicating with wallets, if you are expecting to communicate with a user, is a great use case already. But what if you want to communicate something because something happened on whichever side of the fence, but you want to communicate another smart contract, let's say, about that event that happened? So you can start thinking and implementing some sorts of automation, because we are actually creating that communication channel that will allow communication within Web3 recipients. Make sense?
Yeah, it's really exciting. Actually, I think that this is a huge step forward, and I'm really excited for EPNS.
So Jeff, so the protocol decides what those notifications will be, right? So for example, Bancor decided this is what all of our subscribers, anybody who opts into these notifications, will receive. Is that right?
That is correct for now. Right now, we are working on this collaboration with Bancor. And what we're doing is that we're defining which use cases we're interested in. We are implementing the logic for it. It's super fast. The protocol is very easy to implement. But right now, it's both of our teams deciding how the notifications should be implemented and under which conditions a notification should be triggered. In the future, right, Bancor will continue adding more and more notifications, but not every user will be interested in receiving the entire set of notifications that Bancor has to offer. You might not be interested in getting the governance notifications, or you might be interested in only getting the platform-specific notifications. So that is something that is coming by the end of Q2. We call it user settings. That is you, the user, making all the configurations that you want, or being able to configure when you want to receive notifications, which notifications you want to receive. And we are also enabling to play with more fine adjustments. Like, for example, if you want to be, let's say if you have a loan in a DeFi platform and you want to be notified only after some threshold is met. So you as a user, you will be able to define those settings by yourself, adjusting it to your preferences and not dependent on what the protocol says. Right now, in the stage we're in, yes, the protocol is dictating the rules as to when notifications are sent, but each protocol is taking good care of deciding when to send those notifications. But very soon in the future, very soon in this year, there will be user settings that users will be able to define themselves.
I love that. So it's not just an all or none. You can specifically gear them towards yourself and your interests. So that kind of leads into another question then. So currently EPNS is on Ethereum and Polygon, is that right?
We are going to Polygon very soon. Right now, we are on Ethereum only. That doesn't mean that we cannot observe or listen to events happening in other chains, because we in fact have some channels that are already looking at events happening in Polygon. But we're going to be in Polygon very soon. And even last year, a few months ago, we ran a proof of concept during the Solana Breakpoint event, where we had EPNS running on top of Solana. And we really wanted to take the opportunity to prove that EPNS is cross-chain compatible already.
So let's say, hypothetically speaking, Bancor 3 is going to be launching soon. So then the DAO is going to propose where they want to deploy next. They vote on it. Say they vote on Polygon, right? And you guys are on Polygon. I connect my wallet. My wallet address is the same on Ethereum as it is on Polygon, but they're going to be two different pools, say, on Ethereum and Polygon. So would those be chain specific then at that point, my notifications?
Yes, you you're on the right track. that's part of the things that we thought from the beginning, and we start planning for it. And yes, there will be an indicator that tells you if your notifications are coming from one chain or the other. It makes a lot of sense because there are many protocols living in two different chains. And the moment we start going to more and more chains, then you will want to know those notifications that you're receiving, where are they coming from?
Right. That makes perfect sense. So speaking about like the DAO, like the Bancor DAO voting on where to deploy, like the decision makers, is that kind of how EPNS works also? Because I know you mentioned that you're a DAO as well.
We are getting there. We're in our way. We started our what we call our slow decentralization process. Right, it goes hand by hand with our governance, of course. And the cool thing is, with EPNS, the idea is that it will become a community-owned protocol. Even since the very beginning, if you take a look at our tokenomics, you realize that we assign 53% of all tokens to community. Right, that marks our intent of saying yes, this is going to be a community-owned project, and the decentralization part. There are many factors that will be around it. Part of it is, like allowing any person who wants to join the network and participate as a validator and provide the service of retrieving and dispatching notifications to be part of it, right? But in order to get there, we first need to finalize our governance process, make sure that our governance is sound, and there will be very important decisions coming in the future that will really affect the protocol if they are not well thought. And what we are doing right now in this slow decentralization process is educating our community, through different proposals and whatnot, educating it till the moment that we become really solid, that we feel that we are safe, that we feel that the protocol can be actually directed by the community. And that is in our roadmap. It's something that is going to be done from now to the end of the year, when we formally become a DAO.
I understand that. That makes perfect sense. Get it built and get it really going. I mean, you only went live in January, so that makes sense. When I got the app and I was entering my wallet address, I figured, you know what, I'm going to try to enter my ENS domain, and it worked. And I was super excited. I was super excited about that because I got to actually look at the site and what it's all about first before I was actually connecting my wallet. And for me, like, I become hesitant and sometimes even discouraged when I'm looking into new things. And right off the bat, I have to connect my wallet before I can view anything that they have to offer. So I really liked that. I was kind of curious about, since you're planning on going over to Polygon, do you think you guys will integrate unstoppable domains as well?
Um, that is something that we have been discussing. I think it's going to happen, right? It's just that for now, we have had to focus our attention in many different things. Right now, this year in our roadmap, going to other chains is taking a little precedence, right? And of course, the governance thing, which goes hand by hand. But there are so many activities around making this happen that the unstoppable domains thing, it's something that is it will be discussed through the year. And since we already did the ENS implementation, doing the unstoppable domains thing, we already have the experience doing that. It's just a matter of allocating it into one of our quarters. But most likely it will be done.
I got you. Asaf, you had a question if you want to go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Because since you have a pool at Bancor, I was kind of curious to understand the tokenomics a bit better of your token and how you plan, like, what's the utility of it behind the scenes?
Is that a question for me? Sorry, I just couldn't.
Yeah, can you hear me fine?
Yeah,
We can hear yourself.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
can you explain a bit about the tokenomics of EPNS and how what's the base utility of it?
Yes. Okay. Perfect. Right now, just to answer your question, your initial question, we don't have a pool right now with Bancor, right? That's something that is in discussions. But to talk about the tokenomics of EPNS, well, I will link. I don't think if it. I don't know if it's possible, but I will link the tokenomics formal document, or I can share it in the EPNS Twitter. I think you might be interested in how you as a user can participate in the network, right? Basically, Push, it's our token. It's a governance token, but it comes with an additional use case that is very interesting. Push as a token, it participates in something that we call fee split. And that is in the future, when service fees are enabled for protocols and services, token holders will be sorry about that. Token holders will be eligible to get a share of that service fee, just because that's part of the attributes that we integrated into the token itself, right? So it's not only a governance token, but it's also a token that will accrue fees from protocol usage. And there are many other reward streams and revenue streams that we're implementing. One of them being participating, providing that service to the network, where you are going to be retrieving and dispatching notifications, spinning your own nodes, and making the network stronger. So by doing that, there will be rewards and there will be penalizations as well. But those are still in definition, right? We are really taking care of doing very good thinking and getting advisory from people that have done it before, so that we come up with a sound game theory for our nodes deployment. We call it the push nodes network.
Cool. Thanks for that. Who's the paying customer like that you collect fees from?
In the future, that's not going to happen this year, but in the future, there will be microfees for the notifications, right? Which are going to be service fees by the protocols. So all the different protocols that use the EPNS protocol to send notifications, that's where it comes from.
Oh, so basically, like entities like Bancor, if we want to have our own space and notifications, we would be the ones paying for maintaining it.
It's more a service fee. There will be tiers. Again, that's still in talks. We are still defining how that's going to work. But there will be tiers. So depending on the amount of notifications that you will send, or some other things that will come into the mix of the formula, there will be a service fee assigned to each of those tiers. But it depends mostly on the amount of notifications that you will be sending.
Cool. Is it okay if I ask another question?
Yeah, for sure.
Kind of lost my thought for a second. Oh yeah. You're basically, if I understand correctly, you're a mobile app, right? That's the gist of it, right? It's people download it and then you get the enable push notification based on like blockchain information. Is that like a good high level indication?
Well, it's a little different because we are in fact a protocol that enables communication in the Web3, and let's call it communication in general.
Okay.
We right now are offering a mobile app, a browser extension, and even our own dApp, because we need to create, we need to give users the opportunity to experiment the notifications, the Web3 notifications or EPNS notifications. But that is us creating those interfaces for the users. Are they going to stay forever? Who knows? But the more protocols start implementing their own notifications within their own dApps, or those protocols that have a mobile app or browser extension or any other way that they want to present notifications to the users, that's the idea. Protocols will start implementing it by themselves, and maybe the EPNS front ends are going to start, disappearing or at least not having as many users. And of course, one other thing to keep in mind is that more and more there will come the moment when wallets will start implementing EPNS, whether that's the most popular wallets like MetaMask or Trust or any other wallet. If they start implementing EPNS, then they will start creating one-stop shops for the user. So you as a user, you will use your wallet as usual to interface with all the different protocols, but you will also get your notifications that matter to you in that wallet, right? So wallets is also something that we're working on right now, and we hope that it will start integrating more and more.
Nice. So I have like two additional questions on this, if it's okay. The first one is how are you competing or positioning? Like, what's your advantage over existing protocols out there, like Gelato or even Orbs that is currently like making waves in different blockchains, but doing very similar like solutions. What's your what's your advantage over them? That's the first part. And the second part is you've mentioned that it's doable to trigger blockchain logical activities based on notifications and events. How is that really different or more advanced, more useful than Gelato in that sense?
Yeah, well, I think Gelato is a different product with a different focus right now. But to talk about the competitive advantage, so one of the things is that EPNS is a communication bridge as well between Web3 platforms and Web2 interfaces like Android or iOS. So based on predefined parameters, notifications can be triggered and shared to a Web2 interface of the EPNS app or the EPNS app. And we are perhaps the first notification protocol to have existed in the crypto space. The comparison against Gelato, again, it's very different. Gelato is a framework 100% focused on automation and automation flows. And again, I think we have to keep in mind the essence of EPNS, and that is building the communication layer, right? So what you want to communicate, it depends on you as a developer of a solution, but what we are enabling is the channel that will allow you to communicate things. And one of the cool things that is coming this year as well is wallet-to-wallet communication. So imagine the possibilities that it will open if you can actually create channels that are not only from services to wallets, but from wallet to wallet, right? Just to give you a quick example, what if, like right now, if you have an operation in one of the protocols and something fails, there are different channels where you could eventually get help. But what if you can just say, I mean, because you're logged in on that platform right now, and you can say, hey, I need help, right? And it establishes a communication channel for you right there where you can get help, official help from the protocol, right? So again, just to reiterate, this is a communication protocol, a very generic, open, permissionless communication protocol that lets you build solutions on top of it. The solutions are up for the developers to release their imagination.
Cool, appreciate it. Thank you for this explanation.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you, Asaf. So, Jeff, I have a question as far as the wallet to wallet. You're not talking about because I know personally I have multiple wallets. So you're not talking about how I can say, I have something on, I get my notification on Bancor, right? That if the infinity pools, hypothetically, there was space opening and I wanted to add it. Well, now I have, say, BNT in a different wallet of mine. Can my two wallets, are you going to do it so my two wallets can communicate and I can just send my BNT from one to another and then deposit it? Or are you talking about like a user's wallet to, like you said, the protocol for help? Can you maybe clarify that a little bit for me?
Yeah, when I talked about wallet to wallet, I guess the very first example that comes to mind is a chat, right? That is the communication layer that we are enabling. The capability of you with your wallet address to send a message to somebody else that you want to communicate to in a decentralized platform agnostic fashion that will not require you to share any of your personal information. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, no, you did. I mean, because if I set it up so that I can chat between my two wallets, I guess, then I can do that just as much as I can do that with, say, a friend that I want to send a message to. I've got my notifications on for Bancor and she doesn't. So I can send her a chat when I get my notifications, something like that.
Yeah. And one more thing that is coming is also decentralized video. That's something that we are, it's part of our roadmap this year. And, with EPNS becoming an essential building block for solutions in the Web3 space, we're putting a special attention to creating tooling and infrastructure for the developers community to allow for easier embracing of the protocol and for any crypto wallet and platforms that want to implement decentralized notifications.
And it's not just DeFi, right? I mean, well, I guess, we were talking recently about how there's this overlapping now. It's not super spaced out like it was previously between like metaverse and NFTs and DeFi. How a lot of the new gaming aspect, like the gaming aspect or the NFTs, how they're kind of incorporating DeFi into their projects. So it's not just DeFi specific protocols that EPNS is working with. If an NFT project wanted to go on there and say, hey, staking just went live, you can stake your NFT now. And so it's not just DeFi specific.
Yeah, no, it is not. And part of the things that I love about what I do is that I get to talk to so many different protocols with so many different ideas. So to give you an example about this NFT thing that you're talking about, what if one of the NFT marketplaces, there is an item for auction right now? You will not know unless you go visit that NFT marketplace and you say, hey, this artist that I really like just posted this for sale or for auction, right? And then you can participate. But what if instead of you going to check if there is anything new from that artist, you will get a notification on your phone saying, hey, look what your favorite artist just posted on this marketplace. You want to go bid? Click here. Right. And it's not only that, but auctions are interesting because you can get outbid, right? But you will not know unless you keep an eye on the platform. And what if instead at every stage of the auction process, you start getting notifications so that it becomes more real, like what you see in the movies, that people start bidding and outbidding each other. But I guess that's what we are building with some of the marketplaces that we're working on right now. That is one very interesting use case that they have been implementing. And one way of seeing it, and I really like this one, is it is a way to keep an eye on your assets without keeping an eye on your assets, right? Because information will flow to you.
So I was going to ask about that also. And mine is probably more of a simple example. When Bancor did the Dex Lovers airdrop, I was wondering, like, I wonder if I'm going to get one. I have a BNT still that I'm holding. And I was checking, on OpenSea, did I get one? Are you going to be able to, at some point, maybe get a notification if there is some sort of action, I guess, for lack of a better word, with your wallet? Is that what you're saying right now?
Definitely. We even very soon. I'm not going to say when, but we are going to very soon release a channel that we call Wallet Tracker, and that's basically it. You subscribe or you opt in into that channel. That's an EPNS channel, right? It's not a collaboration with any protocol, but you opt into this channel called Wallet Tracker, and what it will tell you, it will notify you of any movement in or out of your wallet. Right. So let's say you got an airdrop, right? Then, you will get a notification about it saying, hey, something just came into your wallet. Go check it out. Right. And depending on how much information we get and other things, we will be able to take the user to whichever dApp they need to go to claim the airdrop or do things like that.
That's very cool. I like that. Mark, I have a question for you. Maybe not so much a question/request. Rewards are going to be auto compounding with Bancor 3. So how exactly is that working? And maybe I can request a sort of notification now that I have mine live for Bancor, that when my rewards auto compound, I can get a notification, because I feel like that would be fun for the users.
Yeah, absolutely. So the way the auto compounding works is the the rewards program is essentially tied to the burning of pool tokens. And that means that the pool tokens that users hold become worth more over time. And the way that this works, we can basically calculate at any point in the future how much extra tokens users should have earned, and so we know exactly how many pool tokens to burn. The burner is attached to the vortex, and so every time that contract is poked, that means that there's going to be sort of like a round robin where different pools cycle through that process and get their rewards distributed. And so we're expecting, because the vortex is triggered a few times a day, that we should be able to get through sort of every pool with rewards on it. At least once every 24 hours, maybe more frequently than that. But yeah, so what I would do in that case is kind of set up a push notification for every time the contract associated with the pool that you're receiving rewards on, that every time that's triggered, that it would send you a notification. For BNT, that's going to be relatively frequent. But if you've got some other, if you're participating in some other pool where you've got the token team itself that's providing their own auto compounding rewards, like Shiba Girlfriend, for example, or a handful of other projects that we're talking with right now, then yeah, that would be a completely legitimate way to do it. But yeah, that would be if you are trying to create the most optimum, the most optimum experience. So, for example, if you were planning on leaving that pool, and that you wanted to do it sometime in the next 24 hours. Then it might be worth your while to wait until just after the rewards are distributed before leaving, or you might miss out on a small fraction of a % of an APY. But still, it's always worth getting more of those tokens than less of them. So I could see that becoming something that users would be interested in for sure, or at least to get visibility on how frequently those rewards are being distributed to them. So maybe not necessarily trying to time an exit, but just for their own curiosity, seeing how efficiently the auto compounder is working for them. So yeah, I do think that those would be completely legitimate use cases for EPNS.
I also just feel like it would be fun. All of a sudden I get a notification on my phone. I'm like, oh, cool. I got my rewards. I wasn't thinking about leaving the pool at all, or, anything like that. I was just thinking it's just kind of one of those pick-me-ups throughout the day. You're having a day and you're like, oh, well, you know what? It's not that bad. Like, I just got my rewards. That's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that we found in our market research is, that users will return back to the portfolio page multiple times a day, just to stare at the rewards number going up, right? Which is something that was added, I think, in the second version of our user interface, where there's an animation that shows you, or like as each block is mined, what your rewards counter is worth, and users would literally just stare at that and watch it go up, which is interesting. But yeah, I think having an Ethereum push notification sent to your phone just to remind you that your value on the Bancor protocol has gone up, this many times today, and exactly how many more tokens your position is worth. I do expect that would be exactly the kind of thing that would govern user behavior for sure.
Cool. Do you have any other use cases in mind for it, or am I kind of putting you on the spot here?
No, not at all. So I think that anything where someone needs to be notified of something that's happening, or that they want to be informed of how frequent something is occurring. So I think that for a lot of the community members, for example, they may like to set up notifications for trades of certain sizes, right? This might even be something that someone would like to set up and automate via a Twitter account or something, just to give them better visibility into how a new pool is performing, how many fees are being collected on that pool, for example, or even just changes in a pool's performance. You could also set it up to trigger when very large deposits or withdrawals are being made. And this is something that you could, if you were running a special experiment, or if you were, dubious maybe of a couple of whitelisting proposals and, wanted to make your point, maybe you could create essentially an automated system that does monitor how that pool performs versus a pool of a similar size or a similar market cap. If you were, either extremely bullish, like thought that particular pool should be incentivized, or, it should be a bigger part of Bancor's marketing strategy, or the opposite, right? If you think a pool is underperforming and should be slowly wound down, or, we should be cooperating or planning some sort of strategy with the token team responsible for it, in order to make it perform better or something like that. So I think just in terms of being able to create an automated system that does report back to Bancor DAO members how often or the frequency of which deposits, withdrawals, and trades are made on particular pools is an interesting use case.
From your end also, I like how you're a developer, so you're thinking about it as your end. I think about it from the user aspect, so you're thinking about how you can gather this information by what they're using the notifications for. So that's really neat. I'm looking forward to, go ahead.
Yeah, Jen, just one really cool thing that just happened here. You see this that you just did. You said it would be cool if I get a notification when this and this happens, right? This is something that we have been seeing in the different communities. That while the protocol, let's say Bancor in this case, you are thinking of what would be really, really useful for your user base, but at some point it will be the users saying, okay, no, this is what I find useful for me, right? And we have seen a lot of interaction with the users and the protocols, because now the users are starting to ask for the notifications that matter to them. So this just happened here. It's really, really cool to see.
Well, good. Thank you. I'm looking forward to when Bancor 3 launches to kind of see what sort of notifications will go live and what I'll be receiving, and then to even take it one step farther, like you were talking about later on in the year, being able to specify, which ones, I'm not a trader, so opt out, but then opt into governance. I am a BNT holder, so it's going to be neat to see how this all plays out. What else? Do you have anything else on the roadmap you want to share with us, Jeff?
Well, we have discussed most of the things. The wallet-to-wallet communication being one of the most important ones. We are putting a lot of efforts in going to other chains, just because we understand, that many users are wanting to go to other chains for different reasons, and there are many protocols that are going to other chains. So a big part of our efforts this year is on that, and again, just creating more and more tooling and infrastructure for developers. We have our grants program running. That's also very interesting. It's all about creating awareness and helping develop the protocol more. We allocated $1 million for 2 quarters, and that is 100% dedicated to grants. So our grants program is running right now, and there will be more news coming. We are taking good care of implementing more solutions for the users to improve their experience. At the end, EPNS it's all about improving the user experience. So yeah.
Awesome, thank you. Mark, do you have any more questions or any last thoughts for us?
No, not necessarily. I think that it's been a terrific call, and I'm really thankful for Jeff to come and speak with us about it. I do think that EPNS is doing really great work, and I'm really interested to see how users across Ethereum decide to use it.
Same. Thank you so much. Unless the community has any questions or the audience has any questions for us, I don't think they do. I'd like to, just thank you guys both again for coming on and joining me and for being great guests. And Jeff, thank you for, giving us a little deeper dive into EPNS.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me to join today this call. It was really, really great. We at EPNS are super excited about everything that we have been discussing lately with the Bancor team in general. We have been, in conversations about Bancor V3 already, so it's going to be very exciting to see what's to come.
Thank you as always, Jen, for having us, and Jeff, it's been terrific having you on the call. Thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you both. You guys enjoy the rest of your afternoon, and thank you to the listeners as well for joining us.
Thank you very much.